Heyo, it's Mayo. If you didn't already know, May is Lyme Disease Awareness Month, and every year for May I try and put out some kind of content talking about Lyme disease or awareness or prevention, or sharing my personal story of what it was like to have chronic Lyme disease. If you want to check out my content I've already put out talking about all these things about Lyme disease, you can check out my playlist called Lyme Diaries. I will link it below. But this year, for my contribution to Lyme Disease Awareness Month, I am going to talk about what to do if you get bit by a tick. This video was inspired by the fact that recently one of my cousins was bit by a tick when he went hiking. And he and his mom, knowing everything I went through, they called my mom and they were like, what do we do? My mom ended up walking him through this whole process, and she and I realized this is some content that a lot of people would probably really benefit from. Not everyone knows what to do when you're bit by a tick. My mom wrote an article that's already been published on lymedisease.org talking about this exact same topic. I will link it below if you want to check that out. But I thought I would put the same content out, but in video form and with pictures, so then everyone can absorb this information in whatever way is best to them. First off, I will start by saying that all 50 states are now recognized to have Lyme disease. Other tick-borne infections are regional, but still it is best to proceed with caution no matter where you are in the United States or where you are in the world. You want to be preventative and not get tick-borne illnesses. For prevention, you can use tick or bug repellent, or you can wear long pants and socks. That's what's most recommended. Especially if you're going to be hiking, if you're going to be gardening, or spending a lot of time outdoors, take the preventative measures and just be careful. A great natural option for tick repellent is called TikTok Naturals. I have tried this before, and I know people who use this all the time because they go hiking. This stuff is great and I definitely recommend it, so check them out. I will link it below. Even if you do take these extra precautions, it's always best to make sure to check yourself for ticks after coming indoors from being outdoors for a long period of time. The top places to check yourself for ticks are the warmest places of your body. Those are the places that ticks are most likely to go to. You want to check your head and your neck. You want to check in your hair. You want to check your armpits, your stomach. You want to check your groin area, the backs of your knees, check around your feet or your ankles depending on what kind of footwear you are wearing. Check yourself and your kids after being outdoors for long periods of time. If you do find a tick on you, take a picture before you remove it. After you've taken a picture of it, you want to remove it safely. I have included some pictures here of proper removal. You don't want to grasp the tick too high or else it may regurgitate some things into you, which is not good. You want to grasp it as low to the head as possible and pull out straight. You can pause on this infographic right here and read how to properly remove a tick. You can also Google it. After you have removed the tick safely, clean the spot, obviously, but please remember to keep the tick. Most doctors and most Lyme literate people would recommend to keep the tick and send it in for testing. There are companies that will test the tick to see what diseases it is carrying. This can be so key and important to you, and you'll never have to wonder, could I have caught something from this particular tick? These are some companies that you can choose to send your tick to. They have different price ranges and different things they test for. When sending in your tick for testing, the tick does not have to be alive. It could be dead or alive. The most important thing when sending the tick in is it needs to be moist. It can't be dry. If it's dry, they can't test it. To keep the tick moist, you want to just put it into a Ziploc plastic bag with a wet cotton ball, or you can put in a moist leaf or something moist to keep the tick moist. Once you have sent in your tick for testing, results usually come back within 48 hours of when they receive it. So it's a pretty quick turnaround. Take photos of the bite zone on your body where the tick was, and take any updates anytime something changes. If a new rash appears, even if it's not in the spot where you got bit by the tick, take photos of your whole body if you end up with weird skin reactions. As well as keeping a photo diary, keep an actual journal and start tracking symptoms from day 1. If you have like eye twitching on day 2, or your knee hurts and then the next day your ankle kind of hurts. Write down the odd symptoms you experience starting from day 1. Eventually, This may come in very handy when seeing a doctor. If you do end up with some kind of infection, then a Lyme literate doctor will know what these symptoms mean and know how to treat it. Speaking of doctors, go see a doctor as soon as possible. It doesn't have to be a Lyme literate doctor right off the bat, but just go see a doctor and come in prepared. You can come in and tell them, I got bit by a tick. This is when you can show them photos. This is when you can show them the records you've been keeping of your symptoms. This is when you show them some science of what Lyme disease is and why you're concerned. And there are some common myths that doctors will throw straight back at you, saying it hasn't been attached to you long enough to give you an illness. That is false. There is science to support why it's best to treat right away. They should say, oh, we'll test you and then we'll decide what to do. Well, a test can't be positive until after 3 weeks of being bit by a tick because your body hasn't developed the antibodies to have a positive test. This means from day one, you could be infected, but it won't show up for a couple weeks. But you can start showing symptoms from day one. You could feel absolutely terrible, totally crappy in these 3 weeks while you can't even show a positive result. Know your science and bring in information to your doctor about Lyme disease. If you just got bit today, you go into your doctor, you should request treatment. But especially request treatment if you're feeling odd, if you're feeling sick, if you're feeling tired or sore. Know the early symptoms of Lyme disease and know what to look for. Also research other tick-borne illnesses and what their early symptoms may be. Keep your eye out for these things, and if you're feeling off, tell your doctor and push for early treatment. If your doctor resists your requests to have early treatment, or if they're resisting your knowledge about Lyme disease, possibly go see another doctor. If they're not listening to you, find someone who will listen to you. As time passes, make sure to keep recording any physical symptoms with photos and writing down your symptoms in a little journal. The more you track these things, the more of a physical evidence you are creating for your case. On top of that, make your best efforts to eat and live as healthy as possible for at least the next month of time after being bit by a tick. If you knock the infection out properly right off the bat, it can kill the infection and then you will get right back to your normal life. If you don't knock it out properly and maybe drag your feet on some things, you could prolong some of the symptoms, or you could possibly end up with chronic Lyme disease. I personally had chronic Lyme for 5 years, as well as other tick-borne illnesses and co-infections and health problems galore. I was housebound for 5 years. It will be 7 years since I got sick in August. I got sick when I was 14. I'm now 21. I also know a whole lot of people who had decade-long battles with chronic Lyme or chronic tick-borne illness problems. The struggle for a lot of us is many of us don't remember being bit by a tick. I personally never remember being bit by a tick. Had I had that experience of literally finding a tick on me, if I had a picture of a tick being embedded in me, if I had symptoms written down from day one, then we would have known what we were fighting and people would have taken me more seriously. If you have been bit by a tick, and you do have photo evidence, and you do have your symptoms written down, consider yourself extremely lucky. There are so many of us with Lyme disease or tick-borne infections who don't have this physical proof of what we have. Consider yourself very, very lucky that you know what day one is and what bit you, and that you have all of this knowledge and resource to give yourself the best opportunity to beat whatever infection you could have possibly caught from this tick. Awareness is so key, and knowledge is such a power, especially with tick-borne illnesses when they're kind of underknown, but there's such an epidemic. For Lyme Disease Awareness Month, you can help out by sharing awareness tips to friends and family, especially people with kids. If you have kids or you know someone who has kids who spend a lot of time outdoors, share tick awareness with them, because that was me as a kid. I was always rolling in the grass and climbing trees and playing with the animals, and I ended up with Lyme disease and other tick-borne infections. Had we been more aware and had we taken more precautionary preventative measures, then maybe none of this would have happened. In the description box, I include lots of links for you guys, lots of science and reference points and help links for all of these topics that I covered today. I also linked below an article by the International Lyme Disease Association talking about why they recommend immediate treatment. Immediate treatment can make such a huge difference, and I will let them explain that to you. If you have any questions, comments, or topic requests, please leave it in the comments below. All of my social medias and my blogs and my businesses are also linked below. Give this video a like or share it if you learned something today. If you learned something, then I'm sure someone else will too. My next video, later this month, will be about what to do if your pet gets bit by a tick. Some of the steps are the same, some things are different. If you don't know what to do, then stay tuned and I'll tell you in like 2 weeks. Thanks for watching. See you soon, guys. Classic Mayo. Before I go, I just want to talk about something. If you guys want to give back to the Lyme community in some kind of way, I will tell you about an amazing foundation. This shirt I'm wearing today says Believe. This is in honor of my friend Alex Hudson, who passed away a year ago from a decade-long battle with Lyme disease, various other tick-borne infections, and mast cell activation syndrome, all things that I too had. Last year after her passing, Alex's mom created this foundation in her honor. It's called the Alex Hudson Lyme Foundation, and the proceeds go to helping find proper treatment and testing for Lyme disease and mast cell activation as well. They have these super cute Believe shirts. The lettering comes in glitter or matte. Mine is glitter. They come in t-shirts, tank tops, hoodies. They also have tote bags, and they have some merchandise with their Alex Hudson Lyme Foundation logo. The proceeds go to their foundation and helping support their causes. I will include their links below. Please go check them out and give them some love and maybe purchase a shirt. Maybe purchase a tote bag. They are fantastic people. It's a beautiful foundation, and I know for a fact that their money is going to great causes. I absolutely support them 100%, and I recommend you go check them out. Thanks, guys. Thanks for watching. Happy Lyme Disease Awareness Month. Believe.